Hello, my name is Omar Castellanos and I am a life coach. Before I begin the presentation today, I would like to put up a disclaimer here. What I'm about to talk about are my experiences with a covert narcissist. Be that as it may, the tactics that I talk about may not fit what's going on with you. The best advice against any narcissist is to just avoid them. Just get away from them. They're extremely dangerous. You don't always know what they're going to do. Be that as it may, though, again, if anything happens, I cannot take responsibility for what they do. So please be careful. You do this at your own risk. The tactics that I'm about to talk about are mainly against a covert narcissist, but even then, every narcissist has different levels of danger, of aggression as well. So please be mindful of that. And this is just more of my experience with a covert narcissist. So take what you can get from what I say to you, but please be careful. And again, I cannot be held responsible if you do decide to take any actions. So please be careful. I don't want anybody to get hurt. If you do feel that your life is in danger, please, either try to get out of this situation as best as you can, or get the authorities involved. As I mentioned before, the best tactic against a narcissist is to just get away from them. Ignore them. They feed on your attention. Which is probably the main reason why everybody always suggests don't argue with a narcissist. Especially don't call them out being a narcissist as well, because they're just going to deny it and they're going to try to turn it around on you, and you're going to end up feeling gaslit and confused, and it doesn't work that way. However, there are certain points in time when you can't avoid a narcissist, and these tactics are more for people who are basically stuck around a narcissist. A narcissist, especially one that's covert, one that likes to kind of pull you in and get you to start arguing with them and make you go crazy, basically. And the reason you don't want to do this is because they want you to get attention, but there are other reasons why they're trying to drag you into these stupid arguments. Number one, it's for the drama that they crave. Number two, they feel bad inside. And so their way of getting rid of this feeling, instead of processing it like a normal human being, is to put it onto you. So usually it starts off by some sort of complaint that you did something, even though they were the ones that did it. And so then they start, turning it around on you so that you feel guilty and responsible, and suddenly you're the one screaming and raging, and they suddenly are all calm and telling you like, oh no, I'm not the one screaming, what's wrong with you, you're crazy. They basically try to light you on fire, and then kind of laugh at you, which is a really crappy thing to do. So when I figured out that there was an issue with my spouse that I had a suspicion was a narcissist, I needed to prove it to myself. And even though there had been a history of a bunch of events that clearly showed that there was some sort of narcissistic abuse going on, I needed to know for sure. And so I decided to test some of these theories out. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, it talks about how you can be successful in a battle, mainly understanding your opponent. You will win 50% of the time. If you understand yourself, you will be victorious 50% of the time. And of course, if you understand yourself and your opponent, you will be victorious 100% of the time. So let's kind of cut that up a little bit. So let's first try to figure out what is the narc trying to do when they're trying to pull you into these arguments. Again, they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to put their emotions onto you. They're trying to show dominance over you. and they're trying to control you, and also as well trying to get attention. Now, obviously, if you don't feel like giving them the attention, you have to walk away. But again, you can't always walk away from arguments with these people, especially if you're married or you have kids with them. You have to talk to them eventually, unfortunately, and this is where things can go awry. So there are a few things that you can do to prepare yourselves if you do have to talk with your narc. So your narcissist, after those 5 things that I mentioned, they're trying to pull you in to make you feel bad, so that they can feel better about themselves. And so what you want to do is not give that to them. So yes, you can walk away, which is going to be the end result. But what you don't want is for them to get what they want, which is for you to feel like garbage. And that's not the name of the game here. So what you want to do is turn it around on them so that they don't want to keep arguing with you, because they're not going to get what they want. And so a large part of this is that they want to control you. They want to feel that they own you. And so when you argue with them, you want to take away that control from them. You want them to feel like there's nothing they can say or do that'll get them to do what they want you to do. Now, you also have to understand, and this is very important, that whatever your narcissist says or does is a fabrication. It's all part of a larger game that they are playing. It's all a game. Everything, every little thing they say, every positive thing they do is all part of a game. And none of it is authentic. It's just garbage. So if they mention anything about how you look, how you talk, your relationships with others, whatever, any kind of criticism, you have to assume that it's a lie, or that it is a projection of themselves as well. Because again, they want you to feel the way they do so that they can justify their own actions. That way they can feel like, oh, well, that person, he's the one that feels like that, not me. And it's a very difficult concept to understand, but it's there. And they do it because they can't process their own emotions. And it's really bad. They love to unload their own emotions onto others, especially if it's a loved one. And they feel that they're entitled to do it, especially if it's a loved one. Now that's part of understanding who they are. And there's more to it than that. You also probably have lived a long time with your narcissist. So you also have to realize that you know them better than anybody else, especially their insecurities. Anything that they've been projecting onto you is them. So any mention of how you look, what you say, what you drive, how you drive, it's all actually a commentary on them. So take that into account as well. So if they ever want to try to attack you in any of those ways, you can always say, well, that's kind of you, not me. So I don't know what you're talking about. You also have to, so that's kind of part of understanding the narcissist, but you also have to understand yourself at this point, and you have to understand what they've been trying to do to you as well. So more than likely, you've been getting pulled into these arguments, and they've been riling you up, and you've been getting angry and upset, and possibly crying later, unfortunately. And then eventually giving into their demands. That's the worst thing, because they will ask for insanity, and you'll say no, 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 or they'll give up at a certain point, and then they'll bring it back up. And for some reason, I know at least with me, I always felt that I needed to give a different excuse. And so every time they would come up, I would give them a different excuse. And eventually you run out of excuses. So you give in, because they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And no, you don't have to give different excuses. Sometimes you don't even have to give an excuse at all. Just say no. Be like, no. You're like, hey, why didn't you do this? Because I didn't want to. Because that's your responsibility. And they're like, but why? We're like, no, that's your responsibility. We're like, but I couldn't do this. We're like, no, it doesn't matter. It's your responsibility. You see, you keep giving them the same reason. You don't give them the new ones. And eventually, if they keep going on and on and say, look, I already told you this is your responsibility. I'm not doing this. Talk to me when you want to talk like an adult. Walk away. Walk away. And again, this is part of knowing, understanding yourself. Any negative thoughts or feelings that you might have about yourself, just throw them out the window, because most likely they were given to you by either your ex-narcissist or your narc or someone in the past who was a narcissist that had a huge hand in being with you and put those negative thoughts in your head. Those need to go out. You can't think of them that way. You also have to realize, and this is very difficult, they want to see your emotions because that's how they read you. So when you're talking with them, no emotions. Just a poker face. No, there's no, you don't show any anger. You don't show that you are upset. You give them the facts. You take out your emotions when you're dealing with them because they want that, they crave it. And so you don't want to give them that. You don't want to give them control. You don't want to give them emotions. So let's go on to the tips. So number one, get something that can distract you from the conversation. For example, a cell phone with headphones. And you're probably thinking like, well, I'm arguing with a narcissist. Shouldn't I be paying close attention? No, you don't want to pay close attention because whatever they're going to say is nonsense. It is what it is. It's always some stupid argument that has no validity in reality or of any importance. It's important to them, but in the grand scheme of things, and even to yourself, it's not real. It's not important. They're not important. So why would you give them your full attention? It's not going to happen. So grab a cell phone, listen to your favorite music, keep one earbud open, obviously, because you are trying to listen to their nonsense. And as they're talking, you can also be dismissive. You know, just go, yeah, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And again, this is one of their own tactics as well. I remember my one of my ex-narcissists, being at a restaurant all the time with them, and then they would constantly be looking at their phone, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk with you, having a conversation. Why are you on your phone? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just replying to work emails. Like, no. Again, it's always about how their lives are more important than yours. So you have to turn that around on them and start reminding them that your life is more important than a narcissist's life. So, yeah, use your cell phone, keep your headphone on. They'll complain like, why are you doing that? And you don't even have to give a reason. You go, okay, yeah. Or you could just say, oh, well, I'm busy. Like, is this important? Again, you don't want to give in to their demands. They want you to get sucked into the argument. So already you're starting to show that you don't care about the argument. They want you to care about it. They want you to get angry and upset and go, this is not what happened. No. You don't have to explain reality to the narcissist. The narcissist knows the reality. They don't care. All right? So it doesn't matter how much you explain it to them. They're not going to care. They're not going to accept it. They don't want to accept it. That's why they're arguing with you. Because they want you to change reality somehow, like you're some sort of magic wizard. It's not going to happen. Tip number 2, they're going to get agitated during this conversation. And this is why you'll have to, at certain points, just walk away. And they're going to get agitated because they're feeling that they're losing control. This is a clear sign that they are... It showed, at least to me, that I was dealing with somebody that is narcissistic, because as I was not giving in to their demands, that individual was getting angrier and angrier and crazier and more erratic. And that is not how individuals act. At one point, she started to kind of calm down and be like, well, I know that you don't agree with what I'm saying, but... And I said, well, no, I think we just have to agree to disagree. And that that really upset them. Tip number 3, you want to stay calm the entire time. And this is easier said than done. But again, this goes back to you understanding that what they're saying to you is all lies and it's all part of a game. Once you realize that it's all theater, it demystifies it. It takes away its power. Because you're still trying to talk to this individual like they're a person, and they're not, unfortunately. They're not here to listen to reason. They're not here to talk in an adult, mature manner. No, they're here to drive you insane. So you have to stay calm. 4, they'll start trying to play games. They'll start trying to manipulate you. They'll start trying to emotionally manipulate you. They'll start lying. They'll start putting words in your mouth. Now, again, you don't actually want to argue whatever it is they're arguing about. It could be about toothpaste. It could be about who did the dishes. It could be about, oh, somebody left a cup on the table. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it all. You don't want to start arguing about what they're arguing about. The second you do that is when they suck you in, and then they're starting to really able to start manipulating you. No. Instead, what you want to do is point out the absurdity of it. Say, for example, it is about a cup. It's like, it's a cup, who cares? And then they'll start kind of ramping it up, and then that's at that point, that's when you start actually pointing out what they're saying to you. So instead of actually saying, again, instead of talking about what it is that they're talking about, you want to point out the behavior that they're trying to do. So you're going to say, why are you trying to manipulate me? That's not true at all. I never did that. The manipulation, the training. Why are you trying to gaslight me? I'm not trying to gaslight you. I will not put up with this. This is not how you talk to somebody. If you want me to continue talking with you, I can talk to you when you start, when you lower your voice. Again, and then you keep repeating these things over and over. You don't want to actually discuss reality with them. The reality is that they are trying to manipulate you. And so this is when you start telling them that, yeah, why are you trying to manipulate me? Please don't manipulate me. You're putting words in my mouth. You're lying. That never happened. That's a complete fabrication. You're trying to gaslight me. You're trying to just get me to do what you want. Again, you want to point out what they're doing, not what they're actually saying. The words don't actually have any meaning. It's the intent behind it. So you want to point out the intent. Because again, this is the whole point of them arguing with you, is just to drive you insane. And you don't want to let that happen. You don't want to give them the control. By you pointing out constantly what they're saying, what they're doing, it puts the focus back on them. And they'll try to turn it around on you. And you'll say, no, you're just trying to turn this around on me. We're talking about you. And again, you always want to go back to talking about them. You always want to point it back to them. None of this is about you. They'll try to do it. They'll try it. And you go, no, this isn't about me. This is about you. This is about what you are trying to do to me. This is about you trying to manipulate me. This is about you trying to gaslight me. This is about you lying to me. This is about you trying to control me. And you need to stop doing this, because this is not what mature adults do. And again, they're going to continue getting huffy and angry. You stay calm as a cucumber. All right. If things do get kind of crazy, or if it gets too intense, or you start feeling too intense as well, again, that's why you have the cell phone as well, to distract you. Browse a website, whatever, while they're trying to go, or walk away. Simply walk away. They'll chase you. That's fine. I had one, in that altercation, I had the individual tell me, oh, you're just going to be calm now? Huh? Oh, is that what you're doing? And I said, yeah, I am being calm now. At one point, they are going to say something so incredibly vile and just pure evil that your brain just can't even, you can't even not answer it. But again, you have to stay calm and remember, you know this individual more than probably anybody else, because you've probably lived with them the longest. And whatever garbage they said that probably did trigger you, because it's the most horrible, vile thing that they could say, is more reflective on them than on you. When my individual said this to me, I knew for a fact that what they were saying to me was not a reflection of me. It was their own insecurity. And that's the thing you also have to realize as well. Because you know them so well, they've most likely tried to put their insecurities onto you. So you know what they're most insecure about. And now, this part right here can get a little tricky. If you're not ready for it, don't do it. Just walk away. Just walk away. But realize that when they say that vile thing, it's going to trigger you. And it'll either push you into the argument and get you all crazy and riled up, or you can turn it back around on them and say, no, that's you. This is the reason we don't work, is because of what you just did. And that will usually freeze them up for a little bit of time. And you can walk away from them at that point. The name of the game here, you're not going to win this argument by getting them to admit what they're doing. They're never going to admit to what they're doing. What you're actually trying to do here is to show them, hey, your little games don't work on me anymore. You need to back off. And they'll probably back off for a short period of time, but eventually they'll always come back. And at this point, hopefully, you'll be able to create some distance so that they aren't able to communicate directly with you. But again, a lot of times you will have to interact with this narcissist. So are you going to be sucked into their drama and let them drain you of your energy? Or are you going to reflect back the garbage that they're telling you? Because it isn't fair. It isn't fair that you got stuck with this garbage human being, and now you have to listen to their garbage and listen to them unload their emotional crap onto you. It's not fair. You don't need to put up with it. And again, if things get hairy or dicey, or if you feel like you're in danger, please get out of there, call the authorities. Again, I have to give the disclaimer that if you decide to do anything that I said, it is at your own risk, because I don't know what kind of narcissist that you're dealing with. I hope that what I said can bring a little bit of light into why your narcissist is trying to pull you into stupid arguments, and hopefully maybe you're able to deal with them a little better. Please hit subscribe or like if you like this video. Unfortunately, YouTube won't put you on their search results unless you have a certain amount of likes and subscribers. So I would really appreciate if you did that for me. And please leave a comment if you enjoyed this video or if you have any other questions. Have a great day. Bye.